You're watching Your View.
Thank you for joining us.
This is Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM.
SoCal Sports Talk.
Here's Scott Kaplan, Alex Padilla, and John Browner.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Kaplan and Crew. Alex Padilla, John Browner, and Jason Lawhead with you guys today on a Wednesday. And we'll be here tomorrow and Friday as well, as Scott is up in Mammoth vacationing with his family. Hope he's having a good time. He did check in yesterday, like I said in the segment before, to make sure Browner was okay after John Clayton knocked him out, telling him he knows nothing about football, or he knows nothing about quarterbacks in the NFL. Which, Browner, how do you feel about that? Like, people started laughing and making fun of you. Like, they agreed that you don't know anything about quarterbacks.
Well, listen, man, the point of the show is to have fun and to entertain people. Other people's opinions on my opinions on quarterbacks, I could care less about because I'm right.
And I think the thing that finally triggered, I mean, you've said some crazy things to John Clayton about quarterbacks so far.
It's true.
So
over
we've been
the
doing
years.
this for 2 years, and I think people love the segment because it's not John Clayton's got the phone up his nose, and not like it's the best. We tell him like keep it in front of you. So it's not like the best looking segment, but it's one of my favorite segments because as soon as we start talking quarterbacks, John Clayton's ready to fight you, and it
Every
is
time.
the funniest
It's awesome.
thing. And last
My
night,
favorite line was when he goes, well, you can explain, but nobody's gonna believe you. When Browner goes, let me explain. He goes, you can explain, but nobody's gonna believe you.
Nobody's gonna believe. And the straw that broke the camel's back. You know what? I have the clip. I'll just play it for those of you that missed it. We were talking about Ben Roethlisberger. We weren't even supposed to talk about Ben Roethlisberger yesterday. Like it was never. We don't have a rundown, but it was never on the perceived rundown. But Browner said that Ben Roethlisberger is the most overrated quarterback in the history of the NFL or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened with John Clayton yesterday. We started off the show, very impromptu conversation. We're talking about Ben Roethlisberger's final game in Pittsburgh last night. And Browner, of course, goes, he's the most overrated quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Once again, Browner showing nothing he knows about quarterbacks. He knows nothing about quarterbacks. Zero.
Oh man, that was just fantastic, dude. So that's honestly, that to have John Clayton go after you like that's a career highlight, man. That's a career highlight.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I'm gonna be that's a footnote. I'm gonna be mayor of San Diego. What are you talking about?
That's a whole other thing. That is a whole other thing.
It's been a busy week.
It's been a very busy week for you. We'll get into the Browner mayoral candidacy for 2024
exploratory campaign.
Yeah, we will get into that coming up. I promise you, because we have an update. And it's courtesy of a great friend who is going to take Browner to the top. This guy is ready to be your campaign, either your hype man or your campaign manager. Either way, we will get into the Browner mayoral candidacy because it's taken another level, and I think it's going to take on a life of its own. I really do. And we were talking in the commercial break, and we were just like, Browner's like, can you imagine if I become mayor of San Diego? It's like, bro, can you imagine if you get votes? Like, what if people actually vote for you? Anyways, we will get into that. Yesterday, here, if you're listening on the Mightier 1090, you listen to the Rich Eisen show. He's on from 9 to noon. He's got, all the NFL guests that you could ever want. And yesterday, he interviewed Chargers head coach Brandon Staley. And I'm very glad Rich brought this up because I don't think a lot of people would bring up because in theory, it's a silly question. It's actually like asking a coach. Let me just set up the scenario. The Chargers and Raiders play primetime Sunday night. We all know this already. The winner of that game gets into the playoffs. That is the basic scenario. An interesting thing that could happen is if the Colts lose to the Jaguars, which is obviously a long shot, but we've seen crazy things happen in the NFL this year. If the Colts lose to the Jaguars, the Raiders and Chargers, if they tie, they both get in. I'll say that again. If the Colts lose, and if the Raiders and Chargers tie, the Raiders and Chargers both get in. So, asking the Chargers head coach, if that happens, if the Colts lose, would you consider kneeling it out or going for a tie? This is what Brandon Staley had to say yesterday on the Rich Eisen show.
I think we all respect the game and the NFL shield and the integrity of this game far too much to
be complicit in something like that. This game matters too much to too many people, and we want to play our best and be proud of the result one way or the other. And so I know we're going to do everything we can to go win this game and play the way we're capable of playing. And I hope that all the fans and everybody that loves the NFL will be proud of the game on Sunday.
All right.
So no go. So no go from the Chargers head coach.
I believe him
Oh.
to an extent.
What do you
Because
mean?
I'll tell you what, if the Colts do lose that game and there's hours pass by, and I believe him to an extent that both teams will go out and try to win that football game. But if that football game is 13-13 in the fourth quarter, don't tell me that both of those coaches aren't going to conservatively make plays that would seemingly get them towards a tie before they would get them towards a loss. And there's no way that if it's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter and it's 13-13, that both of those teams aren't at least going to go to overtime.
Yeah, how about if the game goes to overtime? Like, you're not telling me that they're just, maybe they'll pump the brakes a little bit?
Of course they will. Of course they will.
The Raiders have been to 3 overtime games so far this year. The Raiders play close games sometimes.
Right. But you're not predicting in the early part of the season that an overtime game tie can get you to the playoffs. But when it emphatically can in week 17 or week 18, that it can, and the math has already been, it's literally the last game to be played, and the math tells you if we tie this game, we go to the playoffs. I don't care if you're Staley or if you're the Raiders. If that is on the table late in the game because you tried to play to win, but it's 13-13 or 16-16 or 28-28, you're going to play for the tie, man.
I couldn't disagree more. Bisaccia wouldn't do that. He's too much of a football lifer. And I don't think Staley would do that because I think that would make him look bad, and he's too young of a coach to be put in that position.
I'm saying is, if it doesn't look obvious, I mean, at the end, what I'm saying is I agree with Staley to a point where if it gets so late, what are you going to go?
How about this?
Game?
How about this?
And let the Steelers slide through you?
How about this, Browner? It's 2 minutes left in overtime, and the Chargers got the ball, but it's on their 20, so they got to march it at least 60 yards to kick a game-winning field goal. You really think they're going to go out and try and possibly throw a pick six, which you've seen Justin Herbert do? Or do you think that they'll just run it up the middle a couple times and run this clock out and be like, hey, we made it. We're in the playoffs.
Or a pick across midfield that sets the Raiders up to kick a game-winning field goal.
Right.
I think
there's scenarios where Jason is correct.
In that
I
scenario.
think there's scenarios where Browner is correct.
In that scenario, let's say it's 40 seconds left. It's a tie game. You're on your own 20. You got to go 80 yards or 50 yards to get a field goal. I think that there's too much respect for the game of football to not try. Now, I've seen Staley go for it on many of fourth downs. They trust Justin Herbert. But I also know that getting into the playoffs is a golden opportunity for a first-year head coach.
Exactly.
Especially in a year like this. So would I put it again? Would I be shocked if they did 3 runs up the middle? No. But I also don't think they would do that.
I also think Staley is playing with he needs to get into the playoffs. Staley has to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
The way this Chargers team started, they were, I believe, 4-1. And then they've been very up and down ever since. They need to get in the playoffs. Rich Bisaccia, I've said it and I'll say it all week. He has nothing to lose, man. So if he has the opportunity to get into the playoffs, he's gonna do it. I don't think that I would not put it past Bisaccia, because what does he care? He's not gonna be the coach next year. It might be Jim Harbaugh next year for all we know. So I think Bisaccia really doesn't have a reason to not go for a tie and ensure the fact that he gets the team into the playoffs.
And let me tell you something. You're right about Staley has to get to the playoffs if he has a chance to get to the playoffs. If that means a tie, it means a tie, because I'm going to tell you something. He's beat too many good teams this year. You're right. They've been up and down a little bit. But when you've got wins over KC, when you've got wins over Cincinnati, when you got a big win over Cleveland the way you had it early in the season when Cleveland was looking like they were going to be good and Baker was healthy. Look, he's had to answer too many questions about those fourth downs going for it in games that he lost. And I'm going to tell you something. If he had a chance to tie to go to the playoffs and he threw a pick something for a field goal that set the Raiders up and he had to answer the question, why wouldn't you just play for the tie, Staley? What are you doing? What do you think would happen to him? after all the questions he had to answer about going for it on 4th downs in games he lost. And then he actually ended up correcting that kind of strategy as the season went on. There's no way, if it's in the balance and it looks like, man, that's a tough 60 yards or 50 yards or 40 yards to get right now to try to get in the field goal range. He's playing conservative and getting his team to the playoffs.
That would be the most Chargery way to get eliminated from the playoffs, when all you got to do is like take a couple knees and you're in,
right?
And you decide to be aggressive and go for the win, and you throw a pick and you set the Raider. Like that, to me, would be the ideal situation as a Charger hater. I hope that happens. I actually pray. I will actually know. I might light a couple of Virgin Mary candles and pray that will happen, because that would be some content that you can't even script. If you saw that in a movie, you wouldn't believe it.
Would be fake.
It would
look like the Kurt Warner movie.
Which, by the way, I've heard very good things about that Kurt Warner movie. I think the trailer. I've heard very good things about that Kurt Warner movie. Yeah, I think the trailer did it. It looked awful. I think it was one of the worst trailers I've ever seen.
Yeah, it looks weird.
Yeah, it looks very.
It looks
weird.
like we made it.
It looks like an SNL spoof. Like an SNL spoof. Anyways, let's okay. So you got. I don't think the Colts will lose. So I think this point will be totally gone by the time the game even kicks off. But let's say they lose. There's two fan bases that better not hope. They better hope that Staley's talking for real, and that's the Steelers and the Ravens, because the winner of that game gets in if the Colts lose and somebody of the Chargers or Raiders lose.
Neither one of those teams deserve to make the playoffs. No. Steelers or Ravens. The Ravens don't have the player that they need to go far in the playoffs. They don't have Lamar Jackson firing on all cylinders, even 80% of the cylinders. So that's going to be a terrible game, whoever they end up playing. The Pittsburgh Steelers are done. Period. They're done. And if they get in, they're going to be an easy out. And at this point in the playoffs, you really want to see the best game that you can possibly be provided with. And I think the Chargers getting in or the Raiders getting in would provide better games than either the Ravens getting in or the Steelers getting in.
No doubt.
The Steelers did not. I mean, dude, if they don't tie to the Lions, they're likely in the playoffs.
Yeah. We're not even having this discussion if they didn't tie to the Lions.
And let's not forget, they also blew that game against the Chargers in SoFi after making a roaring comeback. So the Steelers have shot themselves in the foot plenty. So, and I do think, though, like, I don't think he's healthy, but if he is healthy, I think the Ravens are a good team when Lamar is the quarterback. I think
100%.
When you start 8-3, when you're 8-3, you're a good team in the NFL. I don't care who you played. I don't care what your schedule looks like. When you're 8-3, you're a good team. And the Ravens were 8-3.
They have the same problem that the Panthers have. Your offense is totally centered around one dude. When Lamar Jackson goes down, it's not good. When Christian McCaffrey has gone down in consecutive years, the Panthers have been done. The second he's done, they're done. So, I mean, but that's like if Aaron Rodgers went down, the Packers would be done. Like, you can say that about a lot of teams, but none more than Baltimore, and none, and on the running back side, none more than Carolina.
And Huntley's played good football. You know, that's the bad part. They just had such a brutal schedule going out when Lamar went out. I mean, he went out. They you look at it, they had Cleveland at the time was still playing for their playoff lives and beat Huntley in a close game. The defense got a big score from Myles Garrett there, and that was the difference. Or they beat the Browns that second time. And then it was Green Bay, Cincinnati, the Rams, and now they're closing with Pittsburgh, who's a little hot and also something to play for. So, I feel bad for
Huntley. Let's not forget,
I hate the Ravens, but, Huntley at least stepped up. He didn't collapse, and the team didn't collapse under him, so to speak. So
I think the Ravens have also, I don't know how to really describe the Ravens, because two of their games they went for 2-point conversions and did not convert, or they would have been tied or won. And then they collapsed against the Rams there in the fourth quarter just this week. Like, they could easily have 11 wins right now.
I mean, they were 8-3, Alex. They lost by 1 point to Pittsburgh, 2 points to Cleveland, 1 point to Green Bay. Cincinnati took care of them pretty good, but then 1 point to the Rams.
Yeah. So I think it's a little unfair to say that they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. I just think that good teams
without Lamar Jackson, they don't.
But they did those things without Lamar Jackson. Like, you know what I mean? Like, only one of those. But
Brown was right. The difference is they won a lot of close games with Lamar Jackson. If you look at in the early part, and they just couldn't win those close ones without him.
Yeah.
And
but
they
we'll
lost
see.
some
It's
guys
gonna
on
shake out.
defense too, though. I mean, at the same time, when Lamar went down, they also lost some key members to the defense as well.
It being if they get in somehow, if they beat the Steelers, if the Colts lose, and either the Raiders or Chargers win, and the Ravens are in the playoffs, that is a very impressive job by John Harbaugh. Because let's not forget, they lost both their starting running backs before the season even started.
And Marcus Peters.
And dude, they've had so many injuries throughout that they've gone. It's a revolving door at running back for them. I wouldn't even say they have a real legit number one receiver. Everybody thought Hollywood Brown could be it, but the guy drops about 5 balls a game.
Terrible wide receiver.
Mark Andrews is their best offensive player when Lamar's not on the field. Andrews is very good.
I would also hope we can stop saying two guys would never say that they're a bad coach again. Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. Just let that ship sail. They could have a down year next year. I don't want to hear somebody say, oh, they're not good coaches. The same way I don't want to hear people saying Pete Carroll's not a good coach. He's having a down year. Good coaches have down years. Bill Belichick had 2 of them. Like, it happens. It's happening to one, and it may happen to the other 2 in the future. That doesn't mean that they can't coach.
Bill Belichick had 2 of them in Cleveland.
Right.
Pete Carroll had a few of them in New England.
Yeah.
You know, it
also,
happens.
and with the Jets.
Yeah, it happens. But I think fan bases nowadays are impatient. I think that's just what it is, especially up in Seattle. I don't know how many people are actually clamoring for a whole new regime there, but you know, it's up until this year. I think the Seahawks won 12 games in a row for like 12 games, like 6 years in a row or something like that.
I just think it's wild when these fan bases do this. When I'm a Bears fan, Jason is a Browns fan. We can tell you what it's like to be in quarterback hell. We can tell you what it's like to be in coach hell. You don't want that.
Right.
You don't. If you have a guy,
well, I can't tell
him.
you. Well, I can't tell you that.
Quarterback
Dude, and coach hell.
Mike Zimmer's been solid for you.
No.
You may not like him.
No.
But he's been solid.
3 playoff appearances. No. With that roster, no, thank you.
Cleveland. Jason, how many times Cleveland been in the playoffs in the last 5 years?
Once in 20.
Yeah.
I mean,
this guy's mad about
Can you
3.
imagine? But can you imagine?
Almost,
let's say this. And this may not even be a proper comparison, but can you imagine how many Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
a Super Bowl. How many Super Bowl appearances does he have?
2.
Yeah. And there's no one clamoring for a new regime change in Green Bay or a new quarterback in Green Bay. In Seattle, they're over Russell Wilson. They're over Pete Carroll. And they got 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 Super Bowl. But they're over it. They're ready to roll. And I just think you get spoiled sometimes as a fan base when you got those guys. And
but you got to remember at the beginning of the year when Aaron Rodgers was doing his thing, the fans in Green Bay were booing him, and they were ready for him to go.
Deservedly so.
Right, deservedly so. But
so.
Every fan base will turn on you. It's just funny how smaller towns have a tendency to give more rope to guys when major cities are like, get that guy the hell out of here.
Right. Yeah. Seattle. I mean, my Seattle football history doesn't go too far back, but I don't remember them being perennial playoff teams before Pete Carroll got there.
Oh, Mike Holmgren didn't get it done. I ain't gonna lie.
So, by the way, though, Aaron Rodgers in the news today. We will get into what's going on with Aaron Rodgers because I 100% support what this voter is doing to Aaron Rodgers, and I hope more people of the 50 jump on the wagon. We'll get there. And speaking of coaches that have had down seasons but then turned it up, Jim Harbaugh in the news. I want to talk about this right now. We only got a few minutes here in this segment. We'll keep it going in the next segment. Reports out of wherever Michigan's at.
Ann Arbor.
Jim Harbaugh is contemplating an NFL return. Jim Harbaugh, who was basically about to get fired last year from Michigan, took a $4 million pay cut to remain the coach of Michigan, finally beats Ohio State, finally gets into the college football playoff, gets ranked as high as number 2. Then they get their doors beat out by Georgia in the college football playoff. Reports say Jim Harbaugh contemplating for an NFL return, and 2 teams have his attention: the Raiders and the Bears. Browner, what do you think?
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for me. I think it's a no-brainer for him too. The fact that the Raiders are an option is to drive up the price on the Bears. But a little does he know, the Bears will just go, how much do you want? Because Jim Harbaugh...
Or could it be the other way around?
No. Because here's why. Jim Harbaugh would massage the ego of what the Chicago Bears ownership in '99, happy birthday, Virginia McCaskey, it will massage what they want. They want a guy who has played for the Bears, who is in the Chicago Bear fraternity, but who's also worthy of the actual job and understands what it means to coach that team. He is the ideal candidate for what they want. Now, I don't know if what that does to the general manager position. I'm pretty sure he's going to be gone if they hire Jim Harbaugh, or he'll just basically be Jim Harbaugh's butler. But what I can tell you, if Jim Harbaugh is open to the idea, the Bears will spare no expense in hiring him. None.
Yeah. I think if this is anything true to these rumors,
if it's real,
but seems to be substantiated by some certain multiple sources. No. But if I were to say this, I would say that he's not a fit for the Raiders, although he'll use the Raiders for all that leverage that Browner just talked about with the Bears, because the Raiders obviously would love that just clean-cut image of a guy like Jim Harbaugh right now to come in after the Gruden debacle and be like, we've got a guy now that we know we're not going to unfold any emails, or we're not going to have this paper. He's Mr. Dockers, Mr. Whistle around his neck, Mr. Clean
hold
cut.
that thought, Jason. Hold that thought. We're going to jump right back into exactly what you're saying. Right when we come back, this is the Kaplan and Crew Show. More on Harbaugh and Jason right now, kaplanandcrew.com.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew Show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio.
SoCal Sports Talk.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight is brought to you by BMW San Diego, your certified BMW dealer, serving drivers throughout San Diego and the surrounding areas.
Welcome back. Please join us in welcoming the Race and Sports Radio Show back home to 1090. Join host Felix Taverna every Saturday at 9 a.m. for the very best horse racing coverage in all of Southern California. The all-new and mightier 1090.
These are challenging times for our community.
The San Diego Food Bank and our North County Food Bank chapter are here if you need help. We have hundreds of locations throughout the county where you can get help with food.
We have food.
It's okay to ask for help. Visit one of our drive-through and walk-up locations.
We can also help you sign up for Catfish.
If you need help, or if you can help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
Our mission at Shelter to Soldier is twofold. We're saving lives two at a time. We adopt dogs from shelters and rescues across California, and we're training these dogs that are carefully evaluated for 12 to 18 months, and they're going to become psychiatric service dogs that are later placed with post 9/11 combat veterans.
As one of the leading law firms in California, we at the Barnes firm believe it is really important to give back to our community.
This team of amazing individuals has come together, and they've actually sponsored 3 dogs. One of them being our pal Barney, rescued out of a shelter, believe it or not. And he was named after the late Steve Barnes, which brings a lot of personal meaning to the team at the Barnes firm, to our organization. So being able to carry on that legacy through Barney's work and helping fellow veterans, really important to everybody, us included.
It's quite an honor for us to have Barney join the family, and we're looking forward to meeting the service member who he's paired up with.
I founded Driveway Auction after working in the automotive industry, becoming a dealer and questioning the process that puts consumers at a huge disadvantage when selling their cars.
The big difference between Driveway and the other services is that Driveway works for you. If you've ever tried to sell a car, you know that it's an awful process that makes you either go and meet strangers in parking lots to take test drives, or sit at the dealership for hours and hours while they wear you down. Driveway eliminated all of that.
With Driveway Auction, we come to you, so we complete the 40-point vehicle inspection from the comfort and convenience of your own driveway.
We send an independent third-party inspector to take measurements of the car, take pictures of it, evaluate the condition.
But we use that information to advocate for you, using our network of buyers to compete. And when they compete, you win.
They take over the whole process, and you don't have to do anything.
Our clients get more money and a better process with Driveway.
Everybody at Driveway made me feel so comfortable during the whole process. It was a great experience.
Wilsey Asset Management is an investment advisory firm registered with the SEC. We are a firm that's a fiduciary firm, and we manage $500 million in assets for clients and businesses nationwide. We do better when our clients do better. You want to have a win-win situation. And I saw the same thing with charities. Some of the charities that we're involved in would include Crews for Kids. Another organization that we really helped a lot was Children's Hospital. And there's also other organizations that we help as well in addition to those.
Kind of growing up and seeing how involved my dad was in the community, it really rubbed me, I'm going to say, in the right way. I did kind of take that one step further, I would say, and actually did start my own charity. It's called the Fighters Fight Foundation. What we do is we actually provide experiences to women that are battling stage 3 or stage 4 breast cancer. Our charity is not just about providing the experiences for women, it's also too on educating people. If you want to get involved in the foundation, you can go to our website, fightersfightfoundation.com.
Southern California radio is a special game, a unique game from the sandy beaches of the Baja and all the way to Santa Barbara. My voice sounds pretty cool. The all-new and mightier 1090.
Food insecurity is defined as not having sufficient resources to buy food either for yourself or for your family. Folks who are food insecure struggle with not having enough food to eat because maybe they lost their jobs. It is important to not just look at one person as being food insecure, but really looking at them as it could be anyone. The San Diego Food Bank has been around for over 40 years. Our job is to help procure food for San Diego County residents to make sure that no one is going to bed hungry. Accessing food from the San Diego Food Bank is very simple. A lot of our distributions right now are operating as drive-through distributions, so they are safe to attend if you are concerned with getting out of your vehicle and walking into a food pantry. The San Diego Food Bank needs your continued support. Please visit our website at sandiegofoodbank.org, and there you will see all of the different ways that you too can get involved.
There's a difference between just getting there and enjoying the journey. At Team Mazda of El Cajon, we put you in the driver's seat of the best cars around. From our stylish crossover SUVs to our classic sedans and sports cars. At Team Mazda of El Cajon, your good credit and trade-in can turn into the Mazda of your dreams. Start enjoying your drive with a new Mazda today. Visit Team Mazda of El Cajon.
Here's Kaplan and Crew Tonight's 60-second timeout. Brought to you by Team Mazda of El Cajon. And by Prospect Home Finance.
San Diego State women's basketball took down Colorado State on Monday night, 73-63. The Aztecs were able to hold the Rams to 27% shooting from the field and 18% from three through 3 quarters. CSU tried to mount a comeback in the 4th quarter, but fell short. Asia Avenger had 24 points with 7 assists. She scored or assisted on 17 of SDSU's 28 field goals. Mallory Adams notched a double-double with 14 points in the second half and 12 rebounds. It was her 11th career double-double, but her first since 2019. Next up for SDSU is New Mexico on Sunday. That's your 60-second timeout. Now back to more Kaplan and Crew Tonight.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight's 60-second timeout is presented by Team Mazda of El Cajon and by Prospect Home Finance. Brought to you by Prospect Home Finance. Fast, friendly, affordable.
When California weather conditions create a high risk for wildfires, electric companies may shut off power in some neighborhoods as a precaution. These public safety power shutoffs could affect homes and businesses and interrupt power to your home, devices, and even our Cox facilities. During a PSPS, we'll work hard to keep customers connected to their Cox services in conditions that are safe for you, our employees, and our community. For information and updates, follow us on Twitter and visit Cox.com.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio.
SoCal Sports Talk.
You're watching Kaplan and Crew Tonight, powered by the mightier 1090 and Your View, featuring the best sports talk in SoCal.
What's up, great friends? We're back here, Kaplan and Crew, kaplanandcrew.com. Alex Padilla, John Browner, Jason Lawhead with you guys today, tomorrow, and Friday while Scott's up in Mammoth celebrating a little vacation with his family. Got some great videos up on Instagram. It look gorgeous up in Mammoth right now. I think the snow has kind of like stopped actually snowing, and it's like sunny skies and looks beautiful. So hope he's having fun up there. He'll be back on Monday. He might check in later on this week. We were just talking about Jim Harbaugh and the report from the Athletic that he has contemplated a return to the NFL, to leave Michigan and come back to the NFL. And in that same article, they really did focus on the Raiders, but another team that was mentioned in that article was the Bears as a possibility of him taking over as a head coach. We all know Matt Nagy's out. There's no way they're bringing him back. We're pretty sure Bisaccia, even if he gets the team to the playoffs, is probably out. They're looking for a more steady, full-time head coach. Jason, you were in the middle of it. I had to stop you to go to a commercial break. Get back into it, man.
Yeah, so I was just saying how he was. I think if there is truth to any of this stuff, he'll probably, in my opinion, use the Raiders as the leverage. The Raiders are the team that's willing to give you $100 million over 10 years, right? Chicago has to be kind of really, their arm has to be bent that way to get the guy they want, right? This will be the first time they've ever really made a big splash money-wise for a high-profile coach in the history of their franchise. So I think if you're Jim Harbaugh, and you're coming off, this is a decision. Do you want to go to that franchise in Las Vegas that's so crazy and erratic, and even though it's showing some metal right now in the face of some adversity, sure. Do you want to go join the same division as Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert right now in their primes of their careers and growing? Or does it look a lot better to go into that debacle of a division with Aaron Rodgers aging his way out, possibly not even being a Packer next year? I still think he will be, but still towards the end of his career, and you've got a scrap heap of Minnesota and Detroit, and at least you're going into a situation where you have a top young quarterback out of those franchises. If you're going to say who's the best young quarterback, probably with the potential to go the next level, it's Justin Fields if you can work with him the right way and get the weapons around him. So I think if Chicago isn't a contractual fit and it isn't something that feels right for him, I think he stays at Michigan one more year at least, and maybe surveys it. But boy, I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised they'd have to give him the world and then some and more guarantees to go out there to Las Vegas to take on that kind of a just animal, if you will, plus the things he's up against. Andy Reid and Mahomes, Justin Herbert and San Diego.
I think he would take the
San Diego.
I think
San
he would
Diego.
take,
I said San Diego.
I
You
think
did
he
it.
would take the Vegas job over the Chicago job under the condition that he is the general manager and the head
Sure.
coach. I think that's the one exception
Right.
that he would take. He would
But
take.
what do
that
you do? Then you
Las
got
Vegas job.
Mayock there. That's the president, and he kind of
He will
runs
be
things.
out.
So
He will be
Mayock
out.
can go ahead and just go. I mean,
Right.
go back to TV. I don't
right,
think
but
anybody's
will
worried
Mark
about Mike
Davis
Mayock.
will Mark Davis show Mayock the door? He seems to be pretty married to him.
In the article, there was a whole paragraph about Harbaugh and Mark Davis being friends. Like they have a relationship. They have
Same
a
barber.
friendship
They have
there.
the same barber. I heard. That's why.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember last time I saw Jim Harbaugh's hair.
That's why he wears a hat, because he's got the same
Yeah.
barber. As...
Yeah, I just think it's Jason, the way you laid it out, obviously, it makes a lot of sense to go with the Bears if you believe in Justin Fields. Now, I think that's a whole different conversation because I can't tell you what Jim Harbaugh thinks about Derek Carr or Justin Fields. You know what I mean? I think that
well, he's had firsthand experience of Justin Fields shoving the ball up his rear end. That's for
Justin
sure.
Fields has
He's
cooked
seen it
him
right from the
on
sidelines.
multiple occasions.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I can't.
this year
but
could
I
have been
mean,
a fluke. He might be looking at this year going, hey, this was kind of a fluke. We were lucky to get a sick Ohio State team in the crosshairs right when we had them with the best defense I've had forever. My defensive coach just left for USC. Look, I don't have any of these guys back that were up for the Heisman and the Lombardi Award and all this stuff, or the Outland Trophy. So I've seen Justin Fields in action, and I've also seen Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, what those guys can do to me twice a year. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
I think when we're talking about if we're doing just simple rosters, and if we're starting with the quarterback position, I would say he would tend to favor Justin Fields over Carr because he has more to work with from a youth perspective with Justin Fields. He's watched him at Ohio State, and he probably feels like if I had that guy in my uniform, I got multiple national championships. And this is his opportunity to get this guy on the pro level for a decade.
And I've got draft picks, and I've got a defense that's going to be healthy next year with Hall of Famer on it. And I'll tell you what, I've got Minnesota twice a year. I've got Detroit twice a year. And let's hope Green Bay gets old or some guys leave for free agencies real quick. And in year 2 or 3, I'm sitting at the top of this division.
As the head coach, this number is somewhere in this ballpark, but as the head coach of the 49ers versus the Packers, he's like 7-2. So there's that too.
See? That's a heck of a stat. And do you want to play Mahomes and Herbert twice a year under the bright lights of Las Vegas?
Give me
and
Kirk
all that's
Cousins
going
and
to be
golf.
expected? Because I'll tell you what, he's going to be coming in he'll have a lot of attention going to Chicago, but that team will be under expected in the beginning, and they'll be under the radar, so to speak, in that division because the Packers have owned that division for the last decade.
yeah, but I think it's going to shake out. It's all going to shake out this offseason. But what you guys are neglecting to talk about is that the Raiders have an owner willing to give guys $100 million to be their head coach.
Oh, wait, see, no. See, you're missing the point. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying to you. The Chicago Bears will give Jim Harbaugh a 10-year, $100 million contract.
No, they won't. No, they won't.
Listen, one of the few people Virginia McCaskey probably remembers is Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh's made a lot of money in football so far, and he's still going to cash out nicely in Michigan after it's all said and done. So you're right. Maybe the Bears don't give him the offer that the Raiders do, but the leverage to say, look, they're going to give me 10 years, $120 million. Why don't you guys give me 10 years, $95 million, and I'm coming? And guess what? What's the difference at that point? What's the difference? Because if you think I can wear a Super Bowl ring, look at his brother's got the Super Bowl. Not only does his brother have a Super Bowl that's got a bite at him, he beat him for it. He beat himself. He beat his own brother for the Super Bowl. And to say that he sits there and goes, look, we just found out I'm not winning a national championship. Even if I can fluke beat Ohio State every few years, we're going to go get grinded in that Final Four.
Right.
And I got a chance maybe in 5 years to wear a Super Bowl ring. And if it's 90 million or 95 as opposed to 110 or 115, whatever Mark Davis will throw at me, and I go to a city, he likes that cold way. He likes playing the Monsters of the Midway. I don't know, man. I just don't see Las Vegas as a fit for him and his family. His brother-in-law was a former Indiana coach. The Midwest is where they grew up. His dad, Kentucky, Ohio, they have all those roots right around there. I just think it's a better fit for where the division is and what kind of a coach he is.
I think we're also all assuming that he's just going to leave Michigan when he could himself be thinking, hey, I finally turned the corner here. It took me a long time, but I finally freaking did it. I finally beat Ohio State. I finally got into the playoff. This is a step. He's
not
finally
beating Stroud
turned that
next
corner.
year. He's not beating C.J. Stroud next year.
I hear you.
Not with all
But
that defense leaving.
If you watch the national championship game, if you watch the Final Four, Michigan had no chance at beating Georgia. No chance. They didn't have the athletes, and most importantly, they didn't have a quarterback.
And they won't never get the quarterback at that school.
Right. Their quarterback's never going to be better than Ohio State's quarterback.
And
I think that plays a lot into it.
Even after beating Ohio State, he's still sending guys to the transfer portal. Last year, he had more guys going to the transfer portal than any top 5 conference team in football.
And two, he's a weird guy, by the way. Let's be honest. He's a weird guy, and he burns out.
Exactly.
He burns out, period. That's well known about him. He gets on people's nerves. He wears out his welcome, and he's got to go.
Yeah,
and he hired a bunch of young assistant coaches to try to change that, and they're leaving for better jobs.
Well, that's what assistant coaches do in college
Right.
football, though. That's not like a Jim Harbaugh thing. That's what
right.
everybody
But what I'm
does.
saying is he
figured out
went
like
that
he had
route.
old.
He went
right.
that route, and now he's got to rebuild coaching staffs, let alone rosters. It's a big challenge there at Michigan. Even though he quote unquote turned the corner, it wasn't a huge big turn. I mean, he got a fluke win over Ohio State, in my opinion, and it showed against Georgia that they're just not a.
You're an Ohio
big-time
State
contender.
fan, so you're putting on those.
As a
let's-
person who's
let's hold on. Let's call Jason out for a second. He
right.
just said that they got lucky for being Ohio State because Jason's an Ohio State fan.
No, they earned the win. I just think it was kind of a fluke. I think it was kind of a fluke of turning the corner. They're going to start owning Ohio State. I think next year CJ Stroud goes out with another year under his belt, watches game, and they don't have that front four coming back, and they've got to reload. And you know what? It goes back to Columbus next year, and they're gonna get their teeth kicked in.
As a person who's not a fan of either, I will tell you that was a lucky win, and he's not going to do that again. You know why? Because he hasn't done it before. This was a very senior upperclassman laden team that he had at Michigan. These were not freshmen and sophomores, because when he had those, he struggled. He's never had a good quarterback, never. And even the recruiting class he has coming in, transfer portal included, they're still not better than CJ Stroud. So he's going to have the same problems he had before he had Hutchinson sacking people left and right, who, by the way, got destroyed against Georgia. So
yeah, and that's the only Heisman candidate he's recruited at that school's a defensive lineman.
Ever. So
you guys are trashing him like he's done nothing at Michigan. Dude.
What I'm saying is, this is because I'm saying all these things because I believe.
How many national championships Ohio State got while he was there?
1,
2.
How many?
Urban won 1. They should have won 2 while he was there, but Urban got his title while Harbaugh was there.
So I'm under this assumption. All those things are true. That's why these rumors are coming out, because also him taking a $4 million pay cut was in response to most of the boosters and the people who giving that money lost faith in him, and they were ready to fire him last year. And he don't forget something like that. College football coaches are really, really grudgeful filled people. They don't forget stuff like that.
All right,
And
let's
so
let's do a little prediction game real quick since we're doing it. We all think he's leaving Michigan, yeah?
Yes.
I mean, if the rumors are true, I think that he's a Chicago Bear. If what these reports are coming out and these are his 2 options of teams that are really focused on him.
Well, I would say that if he leaves Michigan, those are definitely not his only 2 options. He would be a top candidate for every NFL coaching.
Yes, but does he want those jobs?
No, but I don't know.
Nobody wants a Jacksonville job.
Yeah, Texans no, Jacksonville no, whoever else might be out there.
Minnesota, yeah.
Nah, he'll go to Chicago instead with a quarterback.
Minnesota's built like San Francisco was built, basically, with the same offense.
Kirk Cousins ain't moving like that.
Kirk Cousins will look exactly like Alex Smith. Need a little help from Jim Harbaugh.
Come on, stop that. And Jim Harbaugh ain't a DNA expert.
He's a quarterback expert.
I will say, if we're saying which job he takes, I will say.
No, I was saying we all agree he leaves Michigan except Jason. You're not sure.
I think.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think if these rumors are true, it's Chicago definitely. And look, if he's going to go play with Kirk Cousins in that division, then go help a veteran quarterback like Derek Carr and take the big money, because Minnesota's not going to give him the kind of money that they're going to play him the same way Chicago would play him. They're not going to offer him any. So I just think if there is any truth to it, Vegas is his leverage to get the most out of Chicago, and that's GM, the whole 9 yards, as much money as he can, a young quarterback in a division that's got a chance to go in there and make some noise. But if he's going to go coach Kirk Cousins, and he'll just go coach Derek Carr.
That's disrespectful to Kirk Cousins, first of all. Very disrespectful.
Look at the playoffs. Maybe.
Look at the stats. Maybe. Well, if Kirk didn't get COVID,
outside looking in. Both.
I'm just kidding. I know he's not going to Vikings. Yeah, I think Harbaugh is definitely coming back to the NFL, and I'll just say I think all signs point to Las Vegas.
Wow.
You guys can lay it out all you want, but I just think all signs point to Las Vegas.
Okay. I think I would say he would choose Las Vegas over Chicago. Back to my original point, if they allow him to be the general manager and the head coach, then I think he would choose that over Chicago, because I don't think Chicago would do that.
I just think he has an all-in guy in Las Vegas. Like Derek Carr is an all-in guy. Whatever you want him to do, he will do. And I think Jim Harbaugh rubs guys the wrong way. I don't see Justin Fields and Jim Harbaugh getting along. First of all, Jim Harbaugh is a hard ass. Like, Derek Carr just will bend to whoever. Just let me keep being the
I
quarterback.
agree with you there, Alex. I definitely, that's a key point. And I think if they can work out the Mayock situation and the money obviously will be right, you're right. You're probably right. I think
they're
he'd be more
close, dude.
attracted
Like,
to Carr in that situation.
And they're right there. Like, as much as you may not think highly of the Raiders roster, but they're right there. They're 1 win away from being a 10-win football team and being a playoff team. The Bears
I
are
said on
far away.
yesterday's show, I like that team for some reason.
Yeah.
It's just they're in a tough division with those other two quarterbacks.
And they're still right there with the
Yeah.
expanded playoffs. I don't really think it matters. I think you're right there every single year because of the expanded playoffs. You don't need to win the division to be a playoff team. Only one team gets a bye. And I think the Raiders have shown that they can compete with teams or beat those teams. Like, I don't think Herbert and Mahomes, I don't think any team in the NFL is this unbeatable force anymore. I just think the parity is just so level, regardless of who your quarterback is, because you got to fill out that roster, man. You have to fill out that roster. So I don't think you look at your division and be like, I'm never going to win this thing, because you can win that thing. I know the Chiefs have won it 6 in a row, but the Chargers were right there to beat them. And the Raiders are right there to be a playoff team too.
But the Raiders are also a traditionally dysfunctional franchise.
Because they have traditionally dysfunctional coaches and GMs, and they've been so wrong on draft picks. And yet, look, there they are. Listen, there they are. I think Mark Davis doesn't get enough credit for being a smart man. I think that he got screwed with the John Gruden situation. That's just straight. I think Gruden, as much as I didn't think it was going to work, he was pretty much riding that ship. Gruden was finally paying dividends. Mayock, I still think is not a great GM. But I think if Harbaugh goes there, I don't think Mayock is the GM. So maybe I'm just clouded by the Raiders' success after all this drama. Maybe I'm just so clouded that I'm so impressed by what the Raiders have been able to do, regardless if they lose on Sunday or not, that if a coach can come in here and really just get them in line, which is what Harbaugh will do, then I think they're going to be pretty good. I don't know if they're going to be a Super Bowl team, but they'll be pretty good. So we'll see what happens there. This segment and this show is brought to you by West Coast Barbecue. Go to westcoastbarbecueshop.com or visit them at their store, 2330 Proctor Valley Road, Suite 102 down in Chula Vista. Brian Bushfield and his mother, one of the two, are always there. They have a staff and they have everything you need, from big green eggs to Napoleon Grill, which I got courtesy of Brian. They also have all the sauces, rubs, and accessories that you need to get your barbecue set up. They also have a really cool meat locker, which has all this really cool, like, Wagyu steaks, tri-tips, ribs, anything that you need when it comes to barbecue. Go to westcoastbarbecueshop.com. They'll hook you up the way they hooked me up, because I used the grill again last night, boys. I'm a grilling machine now. I am a grilling machine. Go to westcoastbarbecueshop.com. All right. Last night and still today, one of the biggest stories in the NFL for some reason was a PFWAA, an AP voter, Hub Arkish, telling a radio station in Chicago, I ain't voting for Aaron Rodgers for MVP. You know why? He's a dick. He's a jerk. And there's no guidelines for me to tell me who I can and cannot vote for. There's no rules that says I can't vote for the guy because I think he's a jerk. So I ain't voting for him. Actually, let me just put up the exact quote that he said on the radio show yesterday. He says, there's no guidelines. We are told to pick the guy who we think is the most valuable to his team. And I don't think it says anywhere strictly on the field. Although I do think he hurt his team on the field by the way he acted off the field. They're going to get the number 1 seed anyway. But what if the difference had come down to the Chiefs game where he lied about being vaccinated and they ended up getting beat? So that's his that's his reasoning. And I, for one, agree with him. I think most people should take into account if the guy's a nice guy or not. Sarcasm font.
Look, man, I'm not a fan of Hub Arkish. He goes on Chicago radio. I've heard him before. He's also not a fan of Justin Fields, so I'm definitely not a fan of him. He's a very traditional, old school Chicago sports writer. And I'll pass, man. Like, I don't care what for me, the MVP is based on on-field behavior. That's it.
Yeah.
Team results. That's it. Please don't bring these people personal lives into things, man. Because I don't want to do that. I don't want this to become that, because that's disgusting and that's gross. Because nobody is going to go into Hub Arkish's life and make him lose an award or not vote for him to win an award because he's been divorced twice or he's got a DUI. Like, nobody's doing that. So don't judge these guys based on your personal opinion of their personality. Don't do that because you don't want that same thing pointed at you.
But people
Jason?
are doing that kind of stuff these days. Actually, they are going back into your personal life and maybe not voting for you or giving you something in this kind of cancel culture era that we live in. Hey, look, this isn't new. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember, but 1995, the baseball season that was started late because of the overlapping strike. I mean, Albert Bell and the Cleveland Indians had the best record in all of American League Baseball that year. And Albert Bell put up just absolutely ridiculous numbers. And the MVP went to Mo Vaughn, who they were a wild card team. Mo Vaughn barely hit 300. No, Mo Vaughn was with the Red Sox at the time.
Okay.
And he barely hit 300. Albert Bell had over 100 extra base hits in a strike shortened season. That's only 100 extra base hits has only happened a handful of times to a bunch of guys in regular seasons. So the fact that Albert batted about 40 or 50 points higher than him, he drove in 20 or 30 more runs than him, he hit a dozen or more home runs than him.
Better.
But he was a bad guy. People didn't like Albert Bell.
We'll talk more about this when we come back. This is the Kaplan and Crew show. Jason Lawhead, Alex Padilla, John Browner with you guys. This is KaplanandCrew.com.
We'll be right back with more of Scott Kaplan and Crew Tonight. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio.
SoCal Sports Talk.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight is brought to you by BMW San Diego, your certified BMW dealer, serving drivers throughout San Diego and the surrounding areas.
Our massive signal covers an area where over 24 million people reside. So if you're listening
or advertising
on another station, we have only one question. Why? The new generation of radio. The all-new and mightier 1090.
Great things can be achieved when a community comes together. Join Erica Cardenas on Doing More as she introduces you to ordinary people working side by side to confront tremendous challenges and make a positive impact in their community. Watch Doing More Sunday night at 6 on YourView or stream it online at yourview.com. Sponsored by The Barnes Firm, partnering with Shelter to Soldier and saving lives two at a time. Visit thebarnesfirm.com/shelter to soldier and help save more lives. Brought to you by Prospect Home Finance. Fast, friendly, affordable.
Prospect Home Finance, San Diego's mortgage leader, is celebrating 15 years of happy clients. HomeFinance.com is the go-to resource online or on your mobile device to discover your best home loan options.
Hi, I'm Jason Vondrak, CEO at Prospect Home Finance. I want to say thank you to all of our clients, both past and future. As part of our 15-year anniversary, we'll close your home loan in 15 business days.
Start your easy home finance process today at HomeFinance.com.
Here's Kaplan and Crew Tonight's 60-second timeout. Brought to you by Team Mazda of El Cajon and by Prospect Home Finance.
San Diego State women's basketball took down Colorado State on Monday night, 73-63. The Aztecs were able to hold the Rams to 27% shooting from the field and 18% from three through three quarters. CSU tried to mount a comeback in the fourth quarter but fell short. Asia Avenger had 24 points with 7 assists. She scored or assisted on 17 of SDSU's 28 field goals. Mallory Adams notched a double-double with 14 points in the second half and 12 rebounds. It was her 11th career double-double, but her first since 2019. Next up for SDSU is New Mexico on Sunday. That's your 60-second timeout. Now back to more Kaplan and Crew Tonight.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight's 60-second timeout is presented by Team Mazda of El Cajon and by Prospect Home Finance.
Catch an all-new local show on the Mightier 1090. Please join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. for the Charity Stripe, where you can get 3 out-of-the-box sports minds whose game is knowing yours. Only on a new generation of radio, the Mightier 1090 AM, SoCal Sports Talk.
Welcome to Team Mazda of El Cajon. Thank you for joining us and making the trip to San Diego's first Mazda Retail Evolution facility. It takes years and years to put all this together and to make Team Mazda a reality. Unbelievable team here.
Thank you to John and Corinne for the opportunity. It's a privilege and an honor to say that this is the store I get to be the general manager of.
I do want to speak to what I have in my hand here. It is a big, heavy plaque representing the grand opening. So I want to present this to John, say thank you again.
We're very proud of the work that you're doing here. I commend you on your future prosperity. At this point, I want to invite you all outside to hear a drum demonstration.
At La Jolla Cosmetic, we try to help people achieve well-being, and we feel that it's not only important to look good, but also feel good inside. And honestly, what a better opportunity to help my community than being a supporter of an organization such as Las Patronas.
The mission of Las Patronas is to provide financial assistance to local nonprofits that are providing valuable community services in the areas of health, education, social services, and cultural arts. La Jolla Cosmetic has been one of our biggest supporters at Las Patronas, so we couldn't do what we do without their support.
You feel the need and you see the need because we go to visit each grant applicant.
Partnering with groups that are actually dedicated to help your community, it's the best thing that you can do as a responsible business.
Shelter to Soldier is 9 years young with a mission to save lives 2 at a time. We're adopting dogs from local shelters, training them for post 9/11 combat veterans, and we're able to donate these trained dogs to deserving veterans in need.
You know, I was in a very dark place. I was having suicidal thoughts, and I really needed an immediate help. We don't know if tomorrow is going to be there for us.
Shelter to Soldier is a nonprofit, and we're able to do the work that we do because of you, the community. Whether it's an individual donating $5 or whether it's a corporate donor like the Barnes firm that's supporting us and sponsoring multiple dogs that are going to make an impact in the veterans' lives in need.
Him by my side 24/7 has completely turned my life around. It's not just saving both of our lives, it has made an impact on myself, Nigel, my family, my work. So yes, they definitely have saved our lives.
Kaplan and Crew Tonight is brought to you by BMW San Diego, your certified BMW dealer, serving drivers throughout San Diego and the surrounding areas.
Wilsey Asset Management is an investment advisory firm registered with the SEC. We're a firm that's a fiduciary firm, and we manage $500 million in assets for clients and businesses nationwide. We do better when our clients do better. You want to have a win-win situation. And I saw the same thing with charities. Some of the charities that we're involved in would include Crews for Kids. Another organization that we really helped a lot was Children's Hospital. And there's also other organizations that we help as well in addition to those.
Kind of growing up and seeing how involved my dad was in the community, it really rubbed me, I'm going to say, in the right way. I did kind of take that one step further, I would say, and actually did start my own charity. It's called the Fighters Fight Foundation. What we do is we actually provide experiences to women that are battling stage 3 or stage 4 breast cancer. Our charity is not just about providing the experiences for women, it's also too on educating people. If you want to get involved in the foundation, you can go to our website, fightersfightfoundation.com.
If you love animals, Animal Zone is for you. From rescues to animal experts, Animal Zone is fun for the whole family. Watch Animal Zone right here on your view, Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. And visit animalzone.org to learn more about the show.
Thank you for joining us. Catch Scott Kaplan and Crew tonight from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific every Monday through Friday. The very best from today's Scott Kaplan and Crew show on the mightier 1090 AM. A new generation of radio. SoCal Sports Talk.
Let's play a game. How well do you know me? If I said to you, what's the one food I would eat if it was the only food I could eat for the rest of my life, would you know what the answer was? Would you?